First of all, I hope everyone is having a happy Juneteenth. And more to the point, I hope you understand what this day represents, especially considering the fact that the Trump administration is doing whatever they can to discredit and destroy it. But unfortunately, they have failed, and they will continue to fail, considering the fact that all of us know what it's about, and people like the former president, Barack Obama, whose presidential center was opened yesterday, June 18th, and was completely overshadowed the UFC Freedom 250 crap that was going on in the South Lawn of the White House. That has turned into a total and complete disaster. But speaking of disasters, let's just get one thing straight now from the get-go. Donald Trump has lost the Iran war. No, actually, it's worse than that. Donald Trump has surrendered the Iran war. The war he started, the war that he has no stomach for, he surrendered. And help me illustrate that. I'm going to give you the 14 points of the the United States-Iran Memorandum of Understanding. What? The Memorandum of Understanding? Is that supposed to be like a surrender document? Anyway, there are 14 points to this, and you would think they would be very, very long, but it really isn't. Technically, it's only a page and a half, but Donald Trump signed it, and as far as I know, Iran signed it. But honestly, let's get to the points, one by one. Point 1. The United States of America and the Islamic Republic of Iran and their allies in the current war, by signing this MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, declare the immediate and permanent termination of military operations on all fronts, including in Lebanon, I'll get to that later, and undertake from now on not to take any initial war or any military operation against each other, and refrain from the threat of the use of force against each other, ensuring the territorial integrity and the sovereignty of Lebanon. Again, I'll get back to that later. The final deal will confirm the permanent termination of war on all fronts, including in Lebanon, and other provisions of this paragraph. The reason why I kept saying I'll get to Lebanon later is because Israel is trying to attack Lebanon. And Donald Trump is pretty much stabbing Bibi Netanyahu in the back. If you think that Bibi isn't going to retaliate for this, you're wrong. But the idea that Donald Trump is calling for a termination of military operations and the refrain from the threats of the use of force against each other, Trump, you've already broken that, you dumb son of a bitch. You've already said in your press conference for the G7 that if Iran doesn't sign the deal, that you will bomb them. How stupid do you think we are? No. The question I should be asking is, how stupid are you to sign something like this and to go on television saying they're gonna sign this, they're gonna do what we say to do, we're gonna bomb them. Moving on. Point 2. The United States of America and the Islamic Republic of Iran undertake to respect each other's sovereignty and territorial integrity and refrain from interfering in each other's internal affairs. Trump, we know that this is a lie. We know that. Because if Bibi tells you to interfere, you'll interfere. Trump, you launched an unprovoked war against them. In fact, you had launched an unprovoked attack against them last year. Again, how stupid are you? Point 3. The United States and Iran, I'm sorry, I'm not going to go over the United States and Iran commit to negotiating and achieving the final deal in maximum 60 days, extendable with mutual consent. So, what's going to happen in between those 60 days, Trump? Are you planning to attack them more? If Bibi tells you to attack them again, are you going to do it? If you ignore your own intelligence people like you did this time, are you telling me you're going to break this ceasefire? Point 4. Immediately upon the signing of this MOU, the United States will begin the removal of its naval blockade and any disturbances or implements against Iran, and it will fully end the naval blockade within 30 days. During this period, the traffic of vessels will be in proportion to the number of pre-war traffic being restored to Iran. The United States further undertakes to remove its forces from the proximity of Iran within 30 days of the final deal. So basically, you're giving yourself a timeline. But what happens if they renege? Or what happens when you win? As an inevitability, as in it's going to happen when you renege on the deal. Point 5. Upon the signing of this MOU, Iran will make arrangements to use its best efforts for the safe passage of the commercial vessels with no charge for 60 days, only from the Persian Gulf to the Sea of Oman and vice versa. The traffic of commercial vessels will immediately start, and considering the need for removing the tactical and military obstacles and demining by the Iran will be installed within 30 days. The Iran will conduct dialogue with the Sultan of Oman to define the future of the administration and maritime service in the Strait of Hormuz, in discussion with the others in the Persian Gulf ritual states in line with the acceptable international law, the sovereign rights of the coastal states of the Strait of Hormuz. Trump, so basically in 60 days, you're letting Iran charge international importers and exporters with tolls? And where's that money going to go? Is it going to go to Iran? Is it going to go to the people of America? Or is it going to go into your own pocket? Point 6. The United States undertakes with regional partners to develop a definite, mutually agreed plan with at least $300 billion, 225 billion pounds, for the reconstruction and economic development of the Islamic Republic of Iran. The mechanism for implementation of this plan will be finalized as part of the final deal within 60 days. All required licenses and waivers and permissions needed for the relevant financial transactions will be granted by the United States, as in the paragraph 6. who exactly is going to pay the $300 billion, Trump? Because we all know it's not going to be you personally. So American taxpayers' dollars are going into this. You started this war and we are paying for it because you want to surrender, you want to declare victory, which is not a victory, and move on. You failed, Trump, and now we're paying for it. Point 7. The United States undertakes to terminate all types of sanctions against Iran, including the United Nations Security Council resolution, i.e., the International Atomic Energy Agency, Board of Governors resolutions, and all utilitarian U.S. sanctions, primarily and secondary in an agreed upon schedule. As part of the final deal, Iran and the United States acknowledged the critical importance of the sanctions termination issued above mentioned and expressed their intentions to immediately address these issues in negotiations in order to achieve the mutual agreement on them. So basically, you don't want the United Nations involved in this. You want all for yourself, Trump. You're not capable of doing that. You've shown that you're not capable. Maybe it's about time for you to walk away now and let the adults in the room handle what you screwed up. Point 8. And this is one of the big ones that Trump actually, the justification for war. The Islamic Republic reaffirms that it shall not produce or develop nuclear weapons. The United States and Iran have agreed to resolve the disproportion of stockpiled enriched material pursuant to the mechanism that will be mutually agreed upon in accordance with the schedule mentioned in paragraph 7. With the minimum methodology to be done, blending on sites upon the supervision of the IAEA, the two parties shall agree to discuss the issue of enrichment and other mutually agreed matters related to the Iran nuclear needs based on a satisfactory framework beginning upon the final deal. The final deal will confirm the provisions of this paragraph. The United States and Iran acknowledge the critical importance of the nuclear issue above mentioned and express the invitation immediately addresses these issues in the negotiations in order to achieve mutual agreement on them. Trump, we're still waiting for evidence that Iran had nuclear weapons. I'm still waiting for the evidence because you have not shown a bit of evidence of that. Your own intelligence people told you there was no evidence. They told you that Iran had no threat to the United States, but you ignored them and attacked them anyway. You better pray there was evidence of them having nuclear weapons. Because what you did by attacking Iran on the false pretenses could be an impeachable offense. But I'll just add that to the list. Point 9. Pending the final deal, the United States and Iran agreed to maintain the status quo. Iran will maintain the current status quo of its nuclear program, and the United States will not impose any new sanctions and will not deploy additional forces in the region. Basically, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. And I promise when I scratch it, it won't be an M16 rifle that I'm doing the scratching with. Point 10. The United States undertakes that immediately upon signing the agreement, this MOU, until termination of sanctions, the Department of Treasury will issue waivers for the export of Iranian crude oil, petroleum products and derivatives, and all associated services, including banking, transactions, insurance, transportation, etc. So basically, you're giving them more cash for their oil. Point 11. The United States undertakes to make fully available for the use of frozen or restricted funds and assets of the Islamic Republic of Iran upon the implementation of the MOU. The United States and Iran will mutually agree on the producers related to the release of these funds. During the negotiations, such funds, whether retained the original account or transfer, shall be made fully usable for payment to any ultimate beneficiary designated by the central bank. Ultimate beneficiary designed by the Central Bank of Iran, the United States undertakes to issue all necessary license and authorizations accordingly. So basically, Iran is getting the cash, and we get the guarantee that they do get the cash. When the Iranian banks decide who exactly gets the cash in Iran. Part 12. The United States and Iran agree that an executive mechanism will be established to monitor the successful implementations of this MOU and the future compliance of the final deal. Part 13. After signing the MOU and subject to the beginning of the implementation of paragraphs 1, 4, 5, 10, and 11, the MOU and the continuing implementation of these measures, the United States and Iran will start negotiations regarding the final deal exclusively. In Part 14, the final deal will be endorsed by a binding United Nations Security Council resolution. So now you want the United Nations, you need the United Nations help for this deal to be finalized and to be recognized by the world. I'm reading this and I can't see any kind of benefit it is to our country. This whole thing, it sounds like not only an apology letter, it looks like a complete and total surrender document, because Donald Trump doesn't have the stomach for prolonged war. He's facing pressure from all sides, from his own cabinet, from his supporters, from Iran, and from Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, or Bibi as we call him. And he is finally cracking under the pressure. He's saying into his own brain, please end the war. Please, I can't take it anymore. I can't take it anymore. It was supposed to be beautiful. It was supposed to be big and beautiful. I crapped in my diaper. Love me. Love me. I'm special. Okay, I went off the rails on that, but you see where I'm going with this. Trump, you didn't win. Don't claim that you did, because you didn't. I think you never will. And as for this being Juneteenth, you trying to upstage an important holiday in this country with this shows me how weak and feeble-minded you really are. CTP knows truth. God bless. Peace to the left, justice to the right.